And we are back. EGN, Aaron Pro Doggy Johnson alongside Jeff Zeta Schnur. Right now, we're looking at Overdrive League Platinum Division. We got Game 2 coming up between the Clocks and Totally Eligible Players, TPE. Really had a good game there, but it was not enough. Clocks took Game 1. Zeta, what are some of the things that you saw that we're going to be looking out here for Game 2?
Honestly, I think that what really hurt was the Nocturne. And they've banned it, so that's definitely a great adaptation. Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry, my time machine's acting up again.
Time machine again.
I mean, dude, it's too tempting. The time machine's right there. It's just right there. It's so good. Okay, anyway, they have to ban the Nocturne. Right, that's gonna be a good thing, you know. That's it's a champion that absolutely caused them a lot of pain the last go around. If they don't ban it, I think they would be at a massive disadvantage. So, with that being said, we're gonna have a Kaisa ban and a Nivea ban and a Swain ban, right? The same Swain ban as we saw last time, actually. So, very curious that they're going to stick with their guns, considering the fact that they still did get kind of rolled over by the team comp last time around, and they haven't made any adaptations on the side of TEP.
And one thing I want to point out for TEP there, you look down in the bottom lane, Echelon is going to be out of this one. We're going to have Focus stepping in. Focus will step in. Echelon played that Alistar last game. Had a couple good engages, but maybe overstepped a few times there in that last one. So he's going to go ahead and get swapped out. Other than that, teams are straight up and down like they were from game 1. And as you said in that time machine of yours, Nocturne will get banned out, but this time it's going to be the Clocks banning it out. So they played it in game number 1 for the Int King, and they go ahead and take it away from No Excuse here in game number 2.
Which means they've got other things on their priority list. If you're going to be taking something like that away, you need to have an idea of what you're going to replace with it, right? There needs to be something else that you're actually getting for that change. And the thing that they're going to be getting for that change, it looks like it is going to be a Graves. It was the only thing that almost ruined their entire plan after all. No Excuse had a fantastic mid-game on that Graves. He started to do great work until he was cut short by the Baron buff and the inevitable demise of his team around him. I think that he was, in fact, doing incredibly well. So the fact that they picked up the Graves, they made the swapped over from the Nocturne, knowing that the Graves wouldn't be banned, because No Excuse would be more than happy to get his hands on it a second time around. They do the first pick there and give over this time the Kha'Zix and the Braum.
And I like the Kha'Zix pick. Kha'Zix got a huge buff on this latest patch that we're on here, 8.19, a couple weeks ago. And I think that that's going to be something that we have to keep an eye on. Like you said, No Excuse had a really strong game on that Graves in game number 1. So we're going to have to see if with this new and improved Kha'Zix, being able to pump out a lot of damage, being able to have that slows with the buffs that came to his W, can we get an opportunity to see No Excuse really repeat the success that he had in game number 1?
I don't know, honestly. I think that it's going to be difficult to repeat the same kind of success, right? That was extremely good play from him, and the fact that he's going to be on a champion that is much more volatile than the Graves suggests that he won't guarantee to have the same success. But something else that's volatile, Diana pickup in the mid lane. Licenseless Rider. I'm not sure if Diana's the right pick into anything, but especially into a blind pick, it feels so dangerous, right? That means that they are going to need something to counter it. And there's so many counters out there, right? I think chiefly in terms of the meta, the Caston does extremely well into it. There are more bans to come out though, so we will see if the cast does get removed. There's LeBlanc, there's things like, what else? We can get almost Lulus. We can think about maybe some other mids that are a little bit more unconventional. Zed does fantastically into Diana because he can just absolutely dodge most of her damage combo. There's a lot of options out there, right? A lot of options. Malzahar even. If you're talking about a champion that just absolutely ruins her potential, you dive in once and you get completely shut down by Malzahar. So we'll see if they ban any of those out, or if they decide to leave the entire pool up, reasoning that there's just too much to deal with. And they will do exactly that. The Camille ban, I can't say, will be towards the mid lane. Nobody has really played mid Camille since ever. It's just not usually a thing, besides if you look at my solo queue history.
No, Camille mid isn't really a thing outside of your own solo queue history, like you said, Zeta. But one thing that I do want to touch on is that Kazadin did go ahead
the perfect
and
pick.
picked up there for Romania in the mid lane. That's going to be a huge counter there for Licenseless Rider. But one thing I wanted to touch on, thereby also had a really strong game on that Leona, had a lot of great engages, did maybe overstep a few times, but was able to really cause problems for TEP in that last one. They go ahead and ban that away, and that's going to put thereby also onto the Morgana, a very squishy pick, but a pick nonetheless that will be able to, get some picks here, especially into these lanes, into some of these team fights later on.
Yeah, Morgana's it's a pretty good pick, right? It gives them the fact that now they have a way to actually send their Graves or their Diana in, and they can't get CC'd during it. The Black Shield is fantastic for divers in that sense. It does a great thing when you're facing the Brahmin lane. It means that now you can't actually get concussive blows. You can't actually get slowed by his Q if you do time it properly. And much like the Leona, if you land that lockdown, they are in place for a very long time, and the Jinx is going to be absolutely free to wail on them. So it fulfills most of the same things that the Leona did last time, but it's going to encourage a much safer playstyle, which I think is fantastic, because thereby also dying on that Leona in a couple of very key engages almost gave the lead back over in that last game.
And one thing that we can look at a change coming in for TPE is going to be on Change swapping out the damage dealing top laner in that Akali, who didn't have, Change had a rough early game, but really came around later in the game, was able to start to do some things on that Akali, but is going to go ahead and opt for the Poppy here. And I like this pick. I like the Poppy pick, especially with the comp that they have. I think that's going to be very, very strong for what they're trying to do here.
With that, we will be loading into game relatively shortly after all. I think the compositions are relatively close, so we'll see, repeat of game number 1, or is this going to be the time to shine? Are the clocks going to be put to stop, the time halted temporarily by the eligible players?
Yeah, and I do think that's going to be something that we have to keep an eye on. Like I said before, with a lot of that top lane pressure they were able to set up before. So that's going to be something that we have to keep an eye on as we are here on the Rift. A little bit of damage traded between Lee Saitama's Maokai, and Chain's Poppy. We're going down through the starting lineups here. TPE, totally eligible players. Change in the top lane, no excuse. In the jungle, Romania in the mid lane. Itchy Rat at 80 carry on the Lucian, and Focus will step in, like we said before, for Ishuan in the supporting role on that Braum.
We'll see if that support change does in fact make a difference, because the clocks have not made a single change. Lisa Tom in the top lane, the Int King at the jungle, Licenseless Rider in mid, SSWBF at 80 carry, and thereby also at support round out our rosters, with the game getting relatively quickly into the starting positions. Keep in mind, this Kassadin deals with the Diana perfectly, right? There's almost no situation in which the Diana has an advantage in this lane, and that's why I think it's so dangerous, because now you not only don't have a way to win the mid lane, but you have a guaranteed lose if it goes long enough.
Yeah, and that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. The pressure coming in from No Excuse, maybe pushing Romania on this casting in the head, or we're going to see pressure from the Ink King early on to try and help out Licenseless Rider here. Licenseless Rider had a really strong early game, last game I should say, on that Ahri. So we're going to have to see what is going to be something that they look at as far as the clocks getting their mid laner going here.
I mean, they're going to need something really fantastically special, and I guess that's the real issue, right? If they don't have a way, if they don't find a way to get it to actually snowball, where do they go from there? Do they just give up on the lane? Do they just completely peace out and not worry about it anymore? Or do they have to commit even further, right? Do they have to say, okay, the Diana matters a lot for our plan, and we need her to be able to pop pollution. We need her to be able to deal damage to their backline and cause a threat, so that they have to respect it. Because if they don't have to respect the Diana, then it's simply deal with the Graves, deal with the Jinx, 2-threat composition. The Diana is that third threat. It's the reason you have to build magic resist. It's the reason you have to spend a lot of gold trying to ward that off, but no excuse. Might be fighting in the jungle.
No excuse. It looks like he might have been called out. Romania is here as well. Flash coming in from Lee Saitama. Lee Saitama looks like they're trying to get down. No excuse. No excuse. Will go down. That's going to be first blood coming in for License Rider. License Rider trying desperately to get away. Oh, but Romania will go ahead and pick that one out. Change is here as well. Will have to flash away, and right there, that's going to be a 1-for-1 with first blood coming in for the side of the clocks.
The Diana First Blood matters so much. They did get the buffs back, which is a fantastic pickup. It means that they don't have a massive disadvantage, especially in the mid lane, where they were already going to be a little bit worried, right? The Diana getting a kill is not what you want to see. We talked about the fact that Kassadin does extremely well. That is post-6. Pre-6, he doesn't have the damage, he doesn't have the sustainability, he doesn't have anything that can actually allow him to win this lane, so he needs something else, and this is that little bit of something else, right? Getting the buffs back, getting the kill, means that he's going to be able to sustain pretty decently through the earlier phases of the lane.
Absolutely, and I mean, we talked about it before. Licenseless Rider could not ask for a better start to this game. We needed something, or they needed something, Clocks, to get this mid pick going, especially knowing it's going to be at such a disadvantage. But I want to talk about No Excuse there. No Excuse tried for a gank in the top lane, but was spotted out on a ward, and then kind of got caught out in no man's land in the river, and allowed time for the roam start to come up. But it looks like No Excuse trying for a gank number 2 will get spotted out once again on a ward, and is going to be a second failed attempt there for the mid lane, or excuse me, for the jungler from TEP.
Yeah, the failed attempts are, I mean, at least they're attempts, at the very least, right? The fact that he's trying is super, super important because, after all, we saw how effective a Graves can be if he does get any kind of an early lead as of last game. The fact that he hasn't been able to get one as of right now, it's not super worrisome. That he's trying is really good because he needs to be. If he's not trying to affect the map, the Graves loses its potential, and the Kha'Zix is absolutely going to do that. So he needs to be there to balance it out, get the counter ganks, or respond with some kind of pressure on the opposite side of the map when the Kha'Zix does show up.
Speaking of pressure down in that bottom lane, Itchy Rat and Focus are having a rough time into that AP range support there. You get the melee support for Focus there, and it's really starting to cause some issues down that bot lane. We'll get the recalls out, but they have been shoved in just about the entirety of this lane.
Yeah, this lane is it's a little bit brutal, to say the least, right? They're not having a fantastic time. Nothing's really been going right. Kind of like last lane, right? They saw last lane exactly how effective the pressure was when they started to shove in. But that was when they were against the Jinx, right? The fact that they're on a different champion, a more aggressive AD carry, means that they should be able to get something done. But Morgana just prevents all semblance of forward progress, right? She has such a big threat with that Dark Binding that you can't actually risk it. But here comes the Ink King.
The Ink King is here now. Change does not have a flash. Great steadfast presence right there. Will keep him alive, but that was scary there for Change and TEP, but will go ahead and get out with that. No kill there, but it looks like the Ink King is staying around, and the Clocks might look for a tower dive here.
Yeah, I think they could do it, but the problem is, if they do, what are they actually giving up, right? The Kha'Zix is on the bottom side of the map. They might be giving up even more. They might be giving up a kill. Ooh, but TEP, they've made some changes. They've maybe going to actually take this a little bit slower, right? The Kha'Zix really hasn't made himself known. They don't have a great track on him, and besides this pink ward, they might get dove.
And here it is. Thereby also will have to flash with the black shield. Will keep them up pretty good. Huge shield coming in from Focus. Will keep No Excuse alive there. A lot of damage is going to get pumped in by SWBF from that Jinx, but it's going to be no harm, no foul as we see that gank come in the bot lane.
Yeah, fizzles out for the Ignite of Focus. And the flash of Thereby also. It's a pretty decent trade for him because now he does have a way to actually get onto his target if and when they decide to fight again. Not missing the summoner though, right? Talking about the missing summoner, the Ignite, it does matter quite a bit, but if you don't actually need it, right? If you just force them to blow the black shield somewhere else and then get the stun combo, that's almost more effective than your Ignite would have been, and there's no way for him to flash to actually get out of the damage. So trading Ignite for flash, generally a reasonable thing, but Romania might go down.
Romania might go down here. Great rift walk. Try to get him out. We'll get a couple ticks from that ignite, but I don't think it will be enough. Romania will survive. Licenseless Rider will have to go ahead and recall as well after the Diana took a few too many turret shots on that attempted dive.
The dives are getting more and more desperate almost. They're getting kind of, almost a little bit strained, right? Because you see that and you say, okay, that's a good gank, but if you're not actually prepping, if you're not shoving the wave in, and if you're not committing to the dive, what's the point of committing at all, right? Shouldn't you just be farming? Shouldn't you be getting pressure elsewhere on the map? Both of these teams, though, they've both made the same mistake, so neither one is really getting punished for it in the sense that if you're both making the same mistake, nobody's making a mistake.
Great damage coming in, but they're not level 6 TEP bot lane. Going the opposite way with the Braum shield, almost going to spell disaster there for this bot lane.
If Lucian was 6, that's a double kill, right? The culling is absolutely enough damage to bring down Jinx at that point. They have more than enough pressure. They could have just run her down, but he wasn't 6 until right this moment, so they need to get yet another Braum Q, right? And yet another bite onto the Jinx. If they don't, they can't actually catch her. They can't actually bring her down.
And that was a really good Winter's bite there coming in from Focus there, because he was able to get the slow onto SWBF. And I agree with you there. Itchy Rat on the solution. If he has level 6, that is a full culling there for dinner for this bot lane here of the Clocks. And that would have at least been 1 kill, maybe 2. But as we see a potential other gank coming into the mid lane. Lunar Rush used by Licenseless Rider. Romania looks like he will have to flash away. Almost went down there. Was going to have to flash away as change is up here. Lee Saitama will go ahead in on this one. No excuses here as well. Great wallop into the wall. Will go ahead and fail flash leads to the demise there for Lee Saitama. That's going to be another kill going over to no excuse.
Yeah, and what a kill it was. They had a great pinch onto him. The Maokai supremely tanky, but he just really can't stand up to 2 members at once. There's no chance for him, and so he does fall victim to that gank. Now, they're trying to do the same to Licenseless Rider.
Licenseless Rider does have a flash available. We'll use it there, but I don't think he's going to be able to get out. Riftwalk comes in as the Ink King comes in. Oh, great move there from Licenseless Rider going back in, but it will not matter. Thereby also will go ahead and land as the Ink King goes down. There's going to be another kill for no excuse. Shutdown coming in. Oh, a shutdown kill will be given over as well. Thereby also picks up 2 for his troubles as Lee Saitama in the top lane tries to run down change, but will not matter. Oh, these Qs right now are absolutely on point. Thereby also with these dark bindings.
I mean, a completely ridiculous number of dark bindings hit in the last couple of minutes, but especially when you consider the fact that this has been a time when there was an advantage, right? You see TEP, they get an advantage, they get damage down. You think they've won the fight. At that point, they have everything going in their favor. Kasten gets hit by the binding. When he is already ulting away, he still travels with the binding attached to him and then goes down to the Morgana auto attack. At that point, you have to think you've got to take it even. Walk away, 4 for 2, still a good time. But he just commits again, right? No excuse is not going away from these fights. He's not shying away from any chance to take some action, and he goes down for his troubles. That is super worrying on this man, but the flash forward is going to start another one.
Flash forward coming in, calling will get eaten up there by SWBF, and that's going to be no excuse leaping in for the kill secure, not kill steal, and that's going to be another one over to the TEP mid lane, or excuse me, jungler.
Yeah, that was exactly what the Kazakhs needed to do. A great setup from Focus lets him do exactly what he wanted. The culling behind it, support onto the Braum, means that the CC was put to good use. Change in the top lane. I mean, the noodles are hitting each other. They're not exactly soaked yet, but they are certainly getting there. And as wet as they might be, there is very little damage to be had.
Absolutely. I was just thinking the same thing when it comes to wet noodle fights, but the dragon will go. It's going to be a mountain drake will get taken up there by TEP. So they go ahead and use an advantage off of the kill that they got in the bot lane on the SWBF, who had to use that flash as well. So all in all, not a bad trade there if you're TEP.
Not really. I mean, the fact that they got, anything out of it is a great thing to see, but the fact that they got even more, right? The fact that they got the dragon and they got pressure and they got kills is just exactly what they need to have happen. They are down 1,000 gold before this turret has even fallen, though. and that's a little bit worrying. The Jinx is up 20 CS, the top laner, Maokai, up another 15 to 20 CS, the mid laner's up 25 in a matchup that he should be losing at this point, and there's just no response, right? The Kassadin into the Diana, maybe, just maybe, he doesn't have the power yet, but I really do think the Cass should be winning at this point in the lane, and evening out, if not completely winning the CS war.
And that's going to be first brick going to the side of the Clocks. They will pick up that tower in the bot lane as we see more wet noodle fights up in the top lane. But we start to look around the map. The vision's starting to come in. They're starting to posture around this mid lane tower, the Clocks are, and they might be able to get a lot of damage on it. I don't think they're going to be able to take it down as the culling comes in, as Ishirat jumps forward as well. Another heat-seeking Dark Binding will connect, and it saves SWB. No, it does save his life. Oh, so close. Was no excuse there from picking up another kill on this Kha'Zix, and just like that, so much used to maybe knock up this Jinx and get her down, but it's not gonna happen there for TEP.
Yeah, TEP on a little bit of aggressive push, to say the least, but they don't get much for it. They don't get the turret, they don't get the damage, they don't get the kills. They do get some summoners. They got the Morgana flash, but that's really about it. And at this point in the game, that's just not enough to get. When you commit so many summoners, so many resources to that middle lane, you need to get more for your money. And this is the point at which they were stalling out last game, right? They had the Graves to carry them through, though, right? Every lane stalled out the exact same, but they had the super strong Graves, so that this didn't matter. Diana engaging onto 2.
Diana does go in. That's a 1v2 that Licensed Rider is going to take. Zhonya's Hourglass will get popped there. Ichirat trying desperately, has no mana. Ignite will come down as the Lunar Rush comes in. Heal comes in as well. Ichirat looks like he may burn down. Heal is popping, potions are popping. I don't think the Lucian will go down and he will survive. Super Mega Death Rocket does not connect. Goes a bit wide down in that bot lane, but the fight is still there. The damage coming in from Kha'Zix right now is ridiculous. No excuse looking for more, but the Rift Walk will secure another kill for Romania. Romania goes in, picks up 2. That's going to be a double kill coming in for the mid laner of TEP as a fight in the top lane. Change is here along with the Ink King, and it will not matter. No kills will be had here, but you start to see No Excuse slowly start to rotate up, and I think Lee Saitama and the Ink King are going to be able to get out of this one.
Yeah, they have the Pink Ward seeing him before he even manages to make his way into the turret, so no dive should have happened. No dive should be forthcoming. The gold lead shrinks again, but still no turrets are picked up for all of their advantages that they are getting, for all of the gold that they have been obtaining, right, on the Kassadin, on the Kha'Zix. This is all coming together very nicely, except for the fact that they don't have any way to put it to use. They haven't actually gotten any of the objectives. The Rift Herald would be a good start to that.
It would be. Lee Saitama trying desperately to stop that from happening. No Excuse does kill and pick up the Rift Herald as Change dies to Licenseless Rider in that exchange. So it's going to be Rift Herald for the top laner. And I think TEP will still be okay with that trade because they got to get some type of objective here. And maybe in the mid lane, maybe in the bot lane, but it's not bad for them.
Not that bad at all. The Rift Herald will be fantastic for taking those turrets that they were having a hard time doing. Licensed Rider flashing out.
Licensed Rider had to flash out, got caught over by the chickens there, but it looks like the tower will go down in favor of the Clock. So that's going to be 2 towers in favor of them. Licensed Rider very lucky to still have the life there. Teleport will be completed in the top lane by the Change, and I do not think that was the best idea. Thereby also will connect on a Dark Binding as Lee Saitama and 5 members of the Clocks are here, and Change, that will spell death for you. Another brick goes down. 3 towers now as the gold lead extends even more for the Clocks.
And what time is it? It is turret dive time. They go up in the top lane, getting themselves yet another kill. I mean, the macro play, still fantastic from the Clocks. They are still getting exactly what they need in terms of the map, in terms of the macro play, done at all points in this game. It doesn't matter that the Kassadin is large to them. It doesn't matter that the Kha'Zix is doing things. They just keep going with their game plan, and they have all the vision in the world to do it, right? You take a look at this jungle. It's lit up like a blue Christmas tree, all in favor of them And they're just going to keep doing that, right? If they are allowed to, they will keep abusing this vision advantage that they have and winning through the macro gameplay. Because they know where everybody is, they can continue to rotate properly and take more turrets for themselves. They don't have a drag advantage yet. That's the next objective for them that they're going to be setting up. And this time, there might be a fight around it. The Kassadin is coming down as well.
And that was something that we saw in game 1. The macro coming in from the clocks was far superior of that of TEP. As the Rift Herald is summoned in the mid lane, someone is going to have to come and deal with this before the Dragon spawns. As Dragon is spawning, it is going to be another Mountain Drake. So I know TEP will look to try and secure this one for themselves, but we look like there is going to be a fight here for it, as all 5 members from each squad are here. Lee Saitama will go ahead. Does not go in. Poppycopter charge. Does not connect on anyone. Another great Dark Binding, almost spelled demise there for change, but it looks like as the roots come in, it will be Focus that gets focused down, and SWBF will pick up one. Great Zanya's there coming in from thereby also. That picks up another kill. Licenseless Rider will pick up one. Itchy Rat goes down to the Super Mega Death Rocket, as Romania, all that damage does not matter, as that's going to be 4 kills for the side of Clocks.
And that was everything that they wanted and more. 4 kills for absolutely nothing, and the Dragon for free. They got everything that they needed. The macro play pays off, and the fact that the Kazakhs, one of their 2 members with kills, just had no impact on that fight is so tragic for legitimately or totally eligible players. They are at a massive disadvantage at this point. 5,000 gold at 19 minutes has to be worrisome, and the fact that their Kassadin went down so easily is also a big issue, right? They were depending on the Kassadin to carry them through this mid game, the Kazakhs to get some picks, to do some damage. Neither one could find any purchase in that fight, and so now they have more to deal with. The way that they can come back, maybe, is if they start to get picks. If they can stop the Diana's rampage, if they can kill the Jinx, if they can slaughter the Morgana, then they can have a way back into this game. But they need to get picks rather than getting picked.
And I agree with that. That's going to be something they have to try and look at an avenue. No matter, even though Romania went down in that fight, that still is a 4-kill Kassadin right there. Has a few items there. Lost Chapter is going to be finished there. So, and even when you look at No Excuse will be able to potentially get a pick on the SWBF, be able to put in that damage. But thereby also, someone I want to spotlight here, has been able to really start these fights with some great Dark Bindings, but those Black Shields have really been crucial. Was able to use that stopwatch in that last fight and stay alive and be able to pump out a lot of damage and keep his damage dealers safe. So that's something that you have to really look for if you're Clocks. Look forward to be able to have that support that's putting in so much pressure in these fights.
Pressure indeed. They're going to continue with it, thereby also goes down. This is the pick that they needed. They need some kind of picks for their advantage, and then they can start to push onto these turrets. The Lucian is dealing damage, but is it enough? The Jinx slowly whittling away on the minions.
Yeah, and that's the pick that you were talking about, Zeta, right there. Thereby also a little bit of a cast of curse there. As Flash coming in from the change, and that looks like, and that will be a shutdown kill going over to SWBF. But the Ink King is here, and Focus goes down because of it. And that's going to be collateral damage kill. Flash coming forward for Lee Saitama. Lee Saitama will be there. It's going to be a double kill coming in for the Ink King. End of the line will go ahead and secure that one. So it's going to be a shutdown kill as well for Licenseless Rider, his 4th kill of the game. And that's going to be 3 members down for TEP.
Yeah, TEP are on the back foot now. They are on the back foot and retreating as it happens. They have nobody to defend this turret. It should be Raves all the way down. The Diana with damage as well, though enhanced auto attacks do massive damage to these structures. I mean, this should just be a free brick. Another one, and an open inhibitor to boot is such a good thing to see, but Diana wants more.
And right there, as the Dark Binder connects, No Excuse jumps out of the way, tries to get away and will, but it will spell demise for his support as Focus goes down. Super Mega Death Rocket will connect, but it keeps No Excuse alive. Just like that, 1 tower, and it will also mean an inhibitor for the Clocks. Oh my goodness, thereby also with these Dark Bindings is heat-seeking, like you said, Zeta.
Again, at this point, they just have to get out of the way of thereby also. You can't actually dodge him because he's not dodgeable. There's no way to stop him, and No Excuse. Talk about no way to stop him. He's not going to... or is he?
He is able to get away by the hair on his skinny chin, but no, the Ink King says, no, you will not. Collateral damage will pick that one up. A trade kill is giving over to the Chain as Chain picks up a shutdown, but thereby also picks up his third kill as the fight as well. So that's going to be a tower and 2 kills for 1 for the side of the Clocks, and they're still pushing for more.
The more they do have, the roots start to roll in. The Maokai is zoning people off of the turrets, and this should be yet another structure going down. The inhibitor is next to follow. This should be TEP's last chance to get a fight in, because as of right now, the Clocks, it's time. The bell's ringing. Everybody's got to get the heck out of the building because it is burning down. They are on fire with 11,000 gold up, 23 minutes in, and they have no competition on this map. They need something miraculous if TEP want to get back in this.
Well, right now you look at that, and that is a huge gold swing. This game was not close, but it wasn't a landslide like it has been. Those last few fights there really snowballed things in favor of the Clocks. Gonna have so many of these items starting to come in, finished up for the side of the Clocks. Got the Storm Razors done on the Graves. The Ink King really with a clean collateral damage there picked up in that one fight, killing off No Excuse. And you look at the side of TEP, totally eligible players had the advantage with Romania in the mid lane, and it has really much been all for naught there. 4 kills several minutes ago, and he's still sitting there on 4 kills. I believe he was 4-0 or 4-1, has died countless amount of times. And Liceless Rider, enough can be said about this mid laner that's going ahead and really starting to put out the damage on this Diana.
Yeah, the mono problems that he had earlier completely gone. His problems killing the Kassadin also completely gone. And as of right now, I mean, it's just the last inhibitor. They have 2 waves of super shoving in, and it is a matter of time with nobody that can actually clear these supers out. No % health damage and no enhanced mid. They have to fight.
They do go in for a fight. Licensed Rider will pop the Zanyas there as the redemption comes down. We'll heal up a few members there for the Clocks. Change is here as well. Lee Saitama is very low. SWV, oh, great ultimate coming in there from Change. We'll knock up a few, but I don't think it matters. The Ink King is still here, pumping out damage. Thereby also puts in another Dark Bind. That's going to be a double kill for Licenseless Rider there. We'll pick that up, and I believe, Zeta, that will be it. That's going to be a 4-1 in favor of Clocks, and just like that, 19 kills to 11, 50k gold for them, and they're gonna knock down these last 2 bricks, and they're gonna take the series 2-0.
On a bicycle of justice, he is the one who rides into the darkness. Licenseless Rider leading his team by the nose to another victory. The 2-0, as you said, very clean, and this time even faster than game number 1. The Graves helped, the Diana mattered, and everything worked out. Even though their Jinx died, it just didn't matter. The AD carry had absolutely no effect on whether or not they won or lost this game. It was at the hands of that mid and jungle duo.
Absolutely, and like we said before, Licenseless Rider picked that Diana into a losing matchup. That was a blind Diana pick, and that Kassadin came in, and Romania really did have an advantage early on in the game. But once a few kills started to roll the way of Licenseless Rider, was able to pick up that first blood and really start to roll the game from there. The damage was out. The Ink King did a wonderful job making sure his mid laner did not go ahead and get really camped early on and really start to, have Licenseless Rider have that advantage. But thereby also, that's another thing I want to talk about. I said it before, those Dark Binders were absolutely heat-seeking, and it spelled demise for a lot of the members there at TPE.
Yeah, and that's the real reason that it all worked out the way it did. I mean, it was Dark Binding, Dark Binding, Dark Binding, Dark Binding. Oh, by the way, Diana's huge, and she's jumping on you while you're bound for the next 6 years. So go read a book, maybe go work at a shelter, feed some people, do something good with your life, because in the next 2 years, you're still not going to be out of the binding, and by the time it ends, the game's already over. There's just no chance, nothing they can do whatsoever, and they get completely run over for it.
Absolutely. Look in game 1, and TEP really had some advantages that they could really play around. You didn't really see that as much in game number 2. Yes, the Kassadin was there, but the Kassadin wasn't as far ahead as you would like to see. And No Excuse taken off of that Graves definitely did not have the same impact that he had in game number 1 on that Kazakhs. So Zeta, I got to ask you, who would you give MVP of this series to after watching these 2 games in favor of the Clocks?
That's so hard.
Had to put you on the spot.
I'm not gonna. I can't decide between the 2. I think they're jungle. I think they're mid both deserve it. I can't make a call between the two, so I'm going to leave that up to you.
If you had to leave it up to me, I will go ahead and give it to Licenseless Rider.
Okay.
Simply because as well as he played on this Diana and as well as the King played on this Graves, game number 1 really did it for me. The plays with that Ahri Licenseless Rider really did, stamp game 1 for the Clocks, and they were able to really ride that wave through into the end of this series. Really, they go ahead, pick up 2 really strong, impressive games with that macro, but Licenseless Rider really did, bring the damage. SWBF really was there as well, being that secondary damage dealer, but it was all on the shoulders of Licenseless Rider, and I'm going to give him the MVP.
Fair enough. Well, that will do it for this series 2-0. What a quick way to end it all out. And I guess congratulations are where is due the Clocks. They knew the time was up, and they just executed perfectly. The macro play was fantastic. The way they took early turrets, very, very impressive. And then they just kept the ball rolling from there, getting objective after objective until everything just ended. That was it.
Absolutely, and that looks like it's going to be us as well. That should be it for us as well. So everyone here at EDG, thank you guys for watching. I am Aaron Pro Doggy Johnson alongside my co-caster Jeff Zeta Schnurr. It has been a pleasure casting for you guys. Definitely be on the lookout for more EGN content coming through for the rest of this week. But until then, stay frosty, and we'll see you guys back on the Rift.